Assalamu alaikum. Well, earlier man sent us something about how the Bible is bewitched by, it's bewitched and it's full of witchcraft. But, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be like, yo, this guy's crazy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. So, I'm just going to break certain things down, make it a bit easier. Well, this is an article right here. And just a lot of these things you can find in the British archives or London archives. It's national information. But again, here, to showing how witchcraft is centered Shakespeare's time. Shakespeare is the one that wrote King James Bible. If anybody that knows that, William Shakespeare wrote the King James Bible. And all that matters right there. The story of Macbeth has got to do with that story about witchcraft. If you know about the story about Macbeth, it's about a king. Anyway, I don't want to go too crazy, but just go moving along about the royal family. And these are the people that brought you the Bible. I'm saying Queen Elizabeth, and this is the monarch. If you guys know the monarch, that's the royal family. The royal family, especially with King Henry VIII. There's a reason why the VIII looked the way it does. I'm saying, but these are the people that brought you the Bible and all this, especially when they broke off from the Catholic Church and it went to Calvinism, and from Calvinism they went to some other stuff. But anyway, and moving along, who's D? You know who's D? No, nigga, not these nuts. This is John D, the original person that was called the witchcraft. The dude that the magician that had to do with Queen Elizabeth. Queen Elizabeth, Bloody Mary. That's a sister. He's the one that brought. John D is the one that brought all that witchcraft. He's the one that with Notre Dame and all this other stuff. But besides that, because you could go on with Roger Bacon and all these other stuff. But before you go that, this is where you get the medievalness. Medieval is really because again, this is coming from. It's just known everywhere. Anyway, this is medieval bitches from the beginning of time. Medieval, that's how medieval really come from. Actually, the British Empire comes from John D. John D brought the British Empire. And John D is the one that brought medieval. Because if anybody know about John D, he's the one that brought the crystal ball. And it's called medieval because supposedly he's the one that brought the crystal ball. And the demon that used to be in the crystal ball was called named Midi. He became an alchemist when he met Edward Kelly up in what is called Germany now. Or Austria. We call Austria. Before Germany was Austria. But yeah, John D. It's not, Now you get to understand why people say D's nuts, because John D was. Some people thought he was crazy for conjecturing spirits. He was the queen, He has to do with Queen Elizabeth's success. A lot of people thought that she, everybody thought she was into witchcraft. I'm saying, Anyway, boom. King James. I'm saying, because King James, you know, what all these got to do with King James and talking about, you know, King James was the one that bought the book of demonology. I'm saying, demonology. I'm saying, before he bought you the Bible, the King James Bible, in 1611, he already had demonology. I'm saying, and King James was the one who brought demonology. You know, this is King James. He's the one that's bringing out this discourse about. So before he wrote the Bible, I'm saying he wrote the demonology with William Shakespeare. That's why a lot of people feel that William Shakespeare, all his stories. That's why William Shakespeare's stories are all depressing, because it's talking about how the monarch was full of witchcraft. Romeo and Juliet is a story about witchcraft. Why are you think anybody that want to be on the William Shakespeare story or on tip Romeo and Juliet, they're always miserable? You know, William Shakespeare was the Prince of Misery. He was the dude that brought into theater. He's all about theater. You know, so, and he was the one that used to bring a lot of emotions. Again, this is so King James had William Shakespeare write his books. You know what I'm saying? And they all wanted to follow, and again, it was because they were following John Dee. These nuts. But I'm saying, just got to do all King James. So your Bible that you, again, and any Catholic person or anybody that want to claim the King James Bible as the legitimate Bible, they don't really know what they're talking about. You know, they don't know what they're talking about. You know, people that rely on the Bible so much come with some nonsense because they don't know what you're talking about. You know, William Shakespeare was inspired by John Dee. You know what I'm saying? Again, you don't have to read fucking books. This is just a natural. You can just look this up. You can look this up. You know, the royal family is embedded with them. What are you talking about? Merlin's in England. You know that story about King Arthur? King Arthur and stuff like that. King Arthur is a fairy tale, but ideas about, you know, with Merlin and stuff like that. You know, and Merlin was a magician. You know what I'm saying? Adam Lewinsky, the one that, you know, all these undercoat people go with, they entered a cult. You know what I'm saying? All these people that came out of England, a lot of them was into the cult. Your forefathers, you know, like Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, stuff like that, they wasn't Catholic. They were deities. You know what I'm saying? Some of the deities was you get the idea from Freemasons. You know? Anyway, again, I don't want to get too crazy, make this too long, but I know I mentioned something about some people would think that I said the Bible is bewitched. Because you need to have the book of Doi. Doi Anyway, I'll explain the difference between DOA and King James Bible. But the King James Bible was known for witchcraft. Or, not in a sense the Bible itself, but people already know King James Bible in demonology. And a lot of people suspected the book was full of it. Some people thought that King James implemented it on the new King James Bible in 611 and brought it to America. That's why the first time that you hear about the King James Bible is really more in America. You know what I'm saying? Because they discovered America in 1492. England and Spain fight and stuff like that. And then Francis Bacon and Queen Elizabeth is again. John Dee had told about Queen Elizabeth about Tartania. Tartania is part of what some people assume was America. You know. Anyway. So yeah, this was Francis Bacon. Oh, Drake. Francis Drake, not Francis Bacon. I'm talking about Roger Bacon, the alchemist. But when Queen Elizabeth came down to the shores of America, they came with Francis Drake. You know, and a lot of people thought Francis Drake was the devil himself. You know what I'm saying. Anyway, just kind of keep it simple. You want to run through, so you can see that it's a lot of the works. You know. Since the Reformation, witchcraft in England had become a statutory crime. In other words, it was really common. You know what I'm saying? It's really common. The only thing Queen Elizabeth didn't want to lose people's faith, or the people that she had to get support. Because remember, she still had to fight France and France and Spain and all those other kings that were coming after her, besides the Muslims, and the Mongolians. But so she, in a way, she can't really expose how deep things is, because then she'll really lose the support, especially when she needs it. And she was a woman. At that time, it wasn't common for a woman to be a queen like that, especially when she's not married, because Queen Elizabeth wasn't married. That's why a lot of people think that Queen Elizabeth was the whole, the same, like the whole queen, because like they say she used to have a lot of romance with a lot of people, but never married. Anyway, boom, this is what it is. Salam alaikum, keep it simple. It is what it is. Salam alaikum. Anyway, a couple of chapters, she gets to get back to her boyfriend.